Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. As we're letting people trickle in, if you want to fill out the launch poll about what continent you're calling in from, Veronica, you can report back on what you see.
Got it. So far, we've got 10% from Africa, 80% North America, 5% Asia, and 4% Europe.
Amazing. Great. So we definitely have people from all over the globe joining, and we're so grateful to have educators, parents, and caregivers joining from so many different places. It really speaks to the depth and diversity of this community. And I think it will make for an extra special conversation about what it means to activate local and global community from home during these times. So before we jump in, just two quick disclaimers. For security purposes using Zoom, we've decided to disable videos for tonight. So even though you won't be able to see each other, we definitely encourage you to stay engaged through our discussions. You'll still be able to share your thoughts and experiences by writing into the chat box. And then one of us will read your comments aloud to the group. And then we'll also be recording the content portions of this session so that we can share it with peers who are unable to attend due to conflicts or time zones. So this does mean that anything that you share with us tonight will not be shared out in the recording. We'll make sure to remove those anecdotes that you share before sharing the recording. So definitely feel free to share as much as you're comfortable with. Next slide. Great. So before jumping in, I do want to briefly introduce the Empatico team members that are also here today and have been so instrumental in bringing these Empatico Empathy Hours to life. So we have Veronica, who is the program associate here at Empatico. She's involved with content and programs like our fellowships, which some of you may be a part of. And she's really passionate about leveraging research findings into practical matters, whether that's evidence-based content you use on Empatico or using evidence-based well-being practices. And then we have Noah, who's been a classroom teacher for 7 years, working as an English teacher in Madrid and a middle school science teacher in New York. And he joined Empatico's marketing and comms team 2 years ago, and he's probably the person you've been engaging with if you've been on our Twitter or Facebook accounts. And then finally, my name is Eliana. I work on developing partnerships here at Empatico. And before joining the team, I worked as an English teacher in Argentina and have worked on a number of projects to bring authentic cultural experiences into the classroom. Great. So on a more exciting note, I'm really pleased to be able to introduce Oluwaseun Kayode, who will be leading this Empathy Hour, our second session so far. So Oluwaseun leads a community of over 1,000 teachers in Nigeria called Skulinka. He and his team design exciting learning programs for educators and deliver them through the use of physical classrooms and leveraging the power of online learning. Putting technology at the center of Skulinka's learning model, low-income teachers are now able to access affordable and qualitative professional development in a convenient way. Oluwaseun is also a Teach for Nigeria alumnus and just an overall incredible educator and human being. Great. So no matter what part of the globe you're joining this call from, I'm sure we can all agree that the last few weeks have been a whirlwind. The COVID-19 situation has escalated really quickly, and this has led to a number of changes in our lives. We're experiencing school closures, supporting our children through the difficult transition to distance learning. We're working from home. Our pets and our families are our coworkers now. We're seeing businesses shutting down, and the fabrics of our communities are definitely changing. But we're also seeing a proliferation of acts of kindness in our communities. Like in New York, every day at 7 p.m., you hear these roars of clapping and shouts and appreciation outside of people's windows, in appreciation of all the frontline workers. We've seen that rates of volunteering have gone up in many areas that have been hit the hardest. We're seeing community members donate money to local restaurants, enabling them to both prepare meals for hospital workers and keep their employees on payroll. But even with these glimmers of positivity and hope, during these uncertain and isolating times, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and alone and disconnected. So now more than ever, it's important to keep empathy and connection and community at the forefront. Next slide. Yeah. So the purpose of Empathy Hours, we're here as an organization to create a space where educators, parents, caregivers, we all can share our experiences and express our emotions, gain practical knowledge for maintaining well-being and dealing with these circumstances, and really just extend support to one another. So with this in mind, Empathy Hours are designed to be a space to foster community, practice empathy, support each other, speak openly and honestly, and learn and unpack together. And our aim is to have these Empathy Hours occur every 2 to 3 weeks so that we can gather and continue to learn about different topics together. Great. So for this session, we'll be focused on the importance of being a part of a local and global learning community. So specifically, we're hoping to go over 3 main things tonight. Really explore the importance of personal well-being and being able to focus on those around us and how we can leverage our social awareness and empathy, of course, to strengthen our involvement in the community. And then we'll be reflecting on how we can continue to be a part of a local community, maintaining connections between educators, between students, and between parents, and support one another in building out a shared body of knowledge, learning new resources, and particularly in the context of these difficult times of isolation. And then finally, we're going to discuss the benefits of extending these local relationships and connections to a global level to really cultivate a global village and a sense of global solidarity. And ultimately, we'll be focusing on how we can make these experiences both meaningful and actionable. And now I will hand it over to Oluwaseun.
Right. Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Awesome. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining this call. I mean, it's really an important moment for me, leading a global discussion, leading a global learning engagement. And I'm so grateful to the Empatico team for this opportunity to lead this engagement. And entirely grateful to everyone on this call. I mean, it's not easy having people, it's evening now in Nigeria, 6:12 p.m., having people coming up to actually connect to a learning experience like this. So thank you so much for taking time out to join this call. So like I used to say at the beginning of every session I did, is to make people know that I'm not here to dish out knowledge. Apparently, you all know more than me with your years of experience combined. But I love facilitating discussions whereby everybody gets to contribute to the learning experience, because I believe that the more we are, the richer the discussion we have. So thank you so much for coming on this call with me. Right, so I'll jump right into it. Like it has been said, I've been reading the chat box, seeing people dropping their thoughts about this period, how they've been able to cope with the period. I can see FaceTime doing a lot of helping out, right? So, like it's written on the slide here, during times like this, it's extremely important that we prioritize our well-being. For me, I've seen a whole lot of people currently who are actually complaining about stress, complaining about fatigue, complaining about not being able to cope with this new way of life that COVID has actually enforced on people around the world. So, and it is very important that we start talking about well-being during this period. Else, we just have a lot of people losing it. And so, and as educators, I mean, it is very, very important, really, to actually look at our well-being during this period. So, taking care of ourselves has positive effects on ourselves and those around us. It impacts our health, right? So, it impacts the well-being of those around us. That's to let us know that if you take care of your own well-being, you are actually cascading the effect on other people around you, because they get to be better because you're better as well. There is an effect that you pass through. So it helps us bond with others. It helps us engage with social issues, right? So there are a lot of resources here that can be true to see. However, I would just like to move ahead to the next slide now. All right, so well-being and community involvement. Like the objective said, I mean, what we are here to talk about is basically how we as individuals can actually fit into local communities and as well cascade this into global communities. some of the slides are much. I like to go very much faster to the next slide, so we can cover all the time. Yes, so COVID-19 stress. So I manage a small community of educators in Nigeria where we discuss sometimes. Sometimes I have chats with some teachers, and I've had a whole lot of them talk about stress during this period. Sometimes we might think that stress has to do with when we have a lot of activities in place, when we have a lot of processes going on in our life, we feel so stressed, or probably we have huge responsibilities to actually handle, we think we have stress. The truth is, even in periods whereby we feel really, really not productive, or we feel underutilized, stress can as well set in. There's a possibility for stress to set in. So, and this here we're talking about this COVID-19 stress, and that's stress during an outbreak. And this can include fear and worry, right? So, like I said, it doesn't have to come with probably process. It can come through fear. There's a lot of fearful information going around right now. Just yesterday, we were hearing in Africa that, there's a projection that we hit about 3 million cases with about 300,000 deaths and all. And so all this information flying around, as you hear them, it passes fear around us. And sometimes we just wonder when we are going to stop the lockdown. When are we ever going to be able to come out of our houses and go into schools? So all this fear and worry can actually cause stress for many of us, with parents, caregivers, and educators. So, for example, there are changes in sleeping and eating patterns currently. It's happening to me as well. I don't sleep the time I usually sleep, because right now I can't even differentiate the time of work from the time I'm supposed to be at home, because everything happens at home, right? So, because of that, there's a change in my sleeping pattern, there's a change in my eating pattern, and these are things that sometimes, before when I go to the office or go to work, I wake up very early in the morning and have breakfast as early as 7. But now I find out that sometimes I don't have breakfast until as late as 11 a.m., 12 noon. So all of these are actually contributing to stress if we think about it really. There can be difficulty sleeping or concentrating, right? So because we have a whole lot going through our mind, right? So there's a lot of change in our behavior. For example, if you have children that we are working with, or children at home, we will now even start seeing, even within them, there are changes in their behaviors as a result of all of this going on. So there are a lot of things going on, a lot of information, fearful and worrying information going about that can cause stress for us. Next slide, please. Yeah, so, and the interesting part is that everyone reacts differently to stressful situations. The way I will react to stressful situation is different from the way someone else will react to stressful situation. So it is very important that we know that we all have different ways. So sometimes, I see a lot of people saying, oh, I've taken 20 online courses during this period. I've taken 15 online courses during this period. Oh, my business, I'm being blah, 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 blah. While these are good reports, there are a whole lot of people who simply just want to survive during this period. They don't want to take any course. They don't even have the energy and strength to take those courses. They don't even have for example, we are on a call right now. That doesn't mean we are the best set of people. There's some other people who can't even manage connecting to a Zoom call right now to learn because of all that is going on. That's to tell us that everyone reacts differently to stressful situations. And coping with stress will make you, as an educator or a parent or a caregiver, it will make you and the people you care about and your community stronger. It will make you stronger because you need to learn how to cope with this stress. Not everybody's on their top or A game during this period, but some people have actually learned how to cope with the stress and just fought ahead with life. Next slide. Yes, so how do you cope with the stress? I've outlined some ideas here that we can actually engage in to cope with stress during this period. And some of these ideas are what I've actually been practicing. So there are some times when I spend so much time on Twitter, and then I'm just seeing a whole lot of fearful information going around, and I'm like, wow, is this going to happen? Is what coming to an end right now? So, but when I found out that the moment when I take breaks from hearing about the pandemic repeatedly through news and social media, I have a breath of fresh air. And within those moments of break, I'm able to renew my hope in our return to normalcy post-COVID. So as educators, parents, and caregivers, we need to find how to take breaks from hearing about the pandemic, because trust me, all our news, we watch CNN down in Nigeria, we watch BBC, we watch everything. So all these news channels currently, they are all focusing on COVID-related news. If we focus much, I'm not saying we shouldn't get informed. Let's get informed. Let's read widely. Let's see news and all. But the point is, when we dwell on this news repeatedly, there's a huge likelihood of actually increasing the stress level for us, because these news are obviously not good, right? So as well, we should find a way to take good care of our body, right? So I can't find my stomach wheeler. I will have brought it out. I purchased a stomach wheeler recently because I needed to watch my stomach. I mean, the weight I'm growing at home, just not going out. So I bought a stomach wheeler to be able to run exercises and work on my tummy, right? So because I know that this period is a period when I should take good care of my body. Right now, as educators, parents, or caregivers, we cannot doubt the fact that we have more time on our hands. The fact that we don't have to go to the office to actually work. We see that, so we still have much more time on our hands. So as a result of this, we can make use of this time period to actually work on taking good care of our body. We can exercise, we can take deep breath. It can be like, for example, I love someone who said that she takes a walk every day, no matter what happens, just to have a breath of fresh air. So if in your community you are able to take a walk, you should do so. You should do so. Take good care of your body. Like your healthy diets that you're not able to actually adhere to before COVID-19 happened, you can start working on those things. You can have plenty of sleep. For example, before COVID, I had to come home very late at night every day, almost every day. And then this affects my sleep time. But because I'm at home now, I can be able to schedule my sleep time to earlier and to have much more sleep. So it's great for us to actually take care of our body, because we're able to build our body system to actually fight against stress. And as well, when post-COVID happens, we are able to get back to work stronger and better. Also, we should use this period to unwind. We should do other activities that we enjoy. For example, I enjoy singing. Not like I'm the best singer in the world, right? But I enjoy singing. So this period, I spend time with my friend. We actually sing, and then maybe I sing. I watch movies, because that's something I really enjoy. So anytime I have a break time, I schedule a movie to watch. So do things that you enjoy. Put priority on yourself during this period. That Katie just said something that working daily really helps her. Yeah. So and then finally, I put this in bold because I want us to know that this is the period where we should get to connect with other people much more. It is important. For example, we are all on a call right now, and this is amazing because we can all speak to one another, we can all connect with one another. And trust me, after Wendy's session last week, I actually had like a fresher, what will I say? I don't know how I'm going to speak this English word right now. Well, I had like a fresh hope. I had like, for example, for educators going back to classroom, I had fresh hope. I mean, my hope was highlighted that yes, things will come back to normalcy. If educators can still keep up hope and join a virtual call like this, definitely we are going to actually get back to this stronger and better. So it's important that we connect with other people. So this strikes me much more because I so much believe that helping others cope with their stress can make our local community stronger, which is example of what we're doing on the call right now and what we actually can do in our everyday life in our community. And then I'll just like quickly try to share a story of a teacher that I worked with in one of our communities at School Income, because that's what we do. We build communities of teachers so that they can, share learn from their shared experiences. So she was talking with me, and this is even before COVID. She was talking to me about how stressful she was and how she was thinking of jumping out of the profession because she feels it was overwhelming, right? She handles a whole lot of students in her classroom. She has a boss that actually abuses the work that she does. So it's really a whole lot for her. And then we had this discussion. Apparently, she didn't open up to anyone before I spoke to her. She was always considering this, and the only thought she had was how she can jump off the profession. So when she had this discussion with me, we talked about it. And then we agreed on some next steps for her, right? So, okay, what are things? And after we actually had that discussion, something was clear. We got to know that what she was seeing as overwhelming wasn't actually really overwhelming. It was just because she was poor at managing them, right? So because we were able to look out for ideas on how she can be able to manage this particular situation, she was able to come out of it stronger and better and become a better educator to her students and a better staff at the workplace. So sometimes we just need to reach out to other people to help them cope with their stress. And there's something that I know is that whatever we do for others, we do for ourselves. Whatever we need to find strength in helping others. And as we do that, we're actually helping ourselves. Sometimes when we try to advise people, we find their reality in our own reality. And we see that as we advise them, we can even apply those advices to our own lives and then become much more better. So we need to find ways to help others during this period to cope with their stress so that our local community can become stronger. Because if A is better coping with their stress, B is better coping with their stress, C is better coping with their stress, and so on and so forth. Before we know it, we are already building a vibrant community who is responding to this period with a stress-free life, right? So we need to find avenues to help others cope with their stress. Next slide, please. Right, so this is a question. How can we lean into our local communities for support during this time of isolation? Very, very important. How can we continue to build out a shared body of knowledge and stay connected? How can we do all of these things? Because I just talked about local community in the previous slide, right? Making our local communities stronger. So how can we lean into this is like, for me, I call this like we're like a push and pull effect. The last slide was talking about how we can actually help others. And this period is talking about how we ourselves can actually draw support from our local community during this period when we are in isolation. And also, how can we continue to build out a shared body of knowledge and stay connected? Next slide, please. Yes, so this is an idea, peer mentorship. Is there an amazing individual or educator, parent or caregiver that you know in your community that you would like to learn from? For me, so during this period, I actually had to spend time with someone I respect so much. His name is Eitayo. And Eitayo has been working in the social entrepreneurship space for quite a while, and he has been able to scale his organization, that's Vitiva, to greater heights, and he has done amazing work with helping young people prepare for the future of work in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So during this period, because of the extra time on our hands, I was able to connect with him on a personal level, and I've learned a whole lot from him during this period. Really, I've learned a whole lot. I'm sorry, I need to turn off my video. There's no lighting currently in my place here. So I was able to learn a whole lot. He was able to share a whole lot. So for us as parents and caregivers, we need to find ways to look for that amazing individual in our community currently that we can reach out to, because now is the time to connect. On Instagram, I've seen a lot of very important people start having Instagram live videos, making webinars available free of charge. People that we would not ordinarily be able to speak with naturally because of their high position in the society. But because of the COVID-19 lockdown, they are able to host all these online webinars, and we are able to join and learn from their wealth of knowledge. So this period is a time for you to connect with someone you actually have always looked up to, and then you learn a whole lot from them during this period. So that's one idea, like a way for you to actually lean into your community for support during this period. All right, Kathy said great points. She needs to take advantage. Yes, you really need to. All right, another idea is the idea of us building virtual communities for shared learning experiences. Very important. I was going through this article, The Power of Online Communities of Teachers, and it was posted on eSchool News yesterday. And it was really a very good read. I mean, how online communities can actually be powerful to help us, to keep us in check, and also help us become much more better in whatever we actually do, right? So we need to find ways to build virtual communities. And that's why our work at schooling can actually move to that stage during this period. Because we found out that how best can we support educators? We can't have physical classes anymore. Why don't we have virtual communities where educators from across the world come to share their experiences and everybody learn from these experiences? So we need to find ways by which we can build these communities. If we can't single-handedly build one, we can join existing communities that are available. For example, the Empatico community is a very vibrant one. I mean, with the empathy hour, we have a lot of educators coming up on board to learn in this virtual community. So you can find ways to be part of virtual communities so that you can lean in for support anytime you need them. And you know that this is not only for COVID period, it is even post-COVID. These communities can help you even beyond the pandemic experience. The next slide. All right, so what are the other ways to share support? Small acts of kindness. For example, at home, our neighbors, the next building next to you, how are you showing kindness to them this time? These are people you normally would not see during the day. You only see probably in the morning and evening when you come back from work. But now you're seeing them all day with just a peep from your window. How are you showing small acts of kindness to them? How are we lending our expertise, right? So, for example, now we, like I said, made mention of people who are actually holding online webinars for young people to learn from them. Is there something that you know how to do? How are you able to actually lend this expertise to other people? It might be through teaching, it might be through learning, it might be through offering services for free to other people. So you should find ways to actually lend your expertise. For example, teachers on Facebook stating the grade they teach so parents can ask them questions. This is a very, very beautiful idea. Professionals doing virtual career days with children. This is a very, very, like, for example, if you're a parent, you're a caregiver, and you probably have your career, you can do a virtual career day with children. There are a lot of young people who are so confused as to which career they should choose currently or which career pathways they should follow through. You can be in the best way to actually advise, the best place to actually advise them. So try to find opportunities to lend your expertise and make it available for use by your community. Volunteering. So whatever extent we are able to, for example, last week, and some group of friends actually had to come together, pool resources together to get food items and relief supplies for some people within our community that will not be able to actually afford them during this period. Because in Nigeria, let me say in many parts of Africa, we do not have the luxury of having access to monthly paycheck from government, right? So we have a lot of people, families actually going hungry. These are families that earn day-to-day wages. They are going hungry every day. So we actually came together, pool these resources to buy these food items and distribute to these local communities, to these families. And for us, that's one way by which we are reaching out to our community, reaching out to support them. So if there's anything that we are able to do during this period, please do it. And make sure that when you're doing it, you're practicing social distancing as well, because we need to be safe, right? So then also donating to whatever extent, if we are able to, like I just mentioned, our experience, find a way to donate. I believe that this is the period when we need each other the most. I wrote an article last week, and that's for a newsletter, and it's about the chain of humanity. And I was just using the Nigerian currency as an example. For example, if someone has 10 million naira to share, and this 10 million naira is shared among other 10 people, these other 10 people are able to share this 1 million naira that they've gotten allocated to themselves to other 10 people like below the ladder. Before we know it, we are going to touch the most vulnerable people in our societies. So let us find ways to actually give whatever we can during this period. Okay, yes. So now we've actually talked about how we can actually cope with stress as individuals and how we can actually support and build thriving local communities. Now it's time for us to actually look at how we can transfer the benefits of our local community to foster global solidarity. So this is how we can build on the gains of the local community that we are thriving in to actually create a global community that is thriving and also actually very vibrant, right? So can I have the next slide, please? So what are the benefits of being globally informed? How can we extend our local connections to global connections through experiences that are meaningful and actionable, right? So, I'm so sure that all of us on this call agree that being globally informed is actually really, really beneficial, super beneficial to us, to the children that we work with, super, super beneficial. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes, so educators can actually be the frontline advocates for a more interconnected world. And this is something that I've actually been working on for the past 3 to 4 years, especially when we have educators being the frontliners for a more interconnected world. And I would say that my work, especially when I was teaching in the classroom as a Teach for Nigeria fellow, was actually inspired by global learning. I've always activated my classroom with global learning, looking for ways how we can actually use global learning to be the foundation by which we pass curriculum to the students. And I'm entirely grateful to Empatico for giving me the opportunities that I've had over time. To actually connect with amazing network of educators like Wendy Turner, who was my partner. That we're able to actually foster or promote global education together. So educators should be frontline advocates, advocates for a more interconnected world. And that's because we are not only building students who are going to thrive in the now, we are building students who are going to thrive in the future. And the future we know is actually driven by global partnerships. Our children need to learn how to actually work with one another. And as well, there are other benefits of actually being in a globally informed learning environment as educators, because we have the opportunity to share resources. I don't want to talk more about that because there's a slide that actually talks about that in this presentation. Then also, parents can create an enabling environment that fosters global connection at home. So there was a time when we were having some of the Empatico exchanges, and some of my parents, about 2 to 3 of them, came around and then started protesting the fact that we were connecting their students with people they don't know, and then they had issues with it, right? So, but I actually had to sit them down to explain to them how the platform works, and then the gains that the students having, how their confidence level have been boosted, and the positives that has been happening ever since we started connecting. And then they were so convicted and were able to even support the work that we're doing. So I would like parents to know, if you're a parent on this call, you need to start creating an enabling environment, even in your homes, that fosters global connection. For example, Empatico is going to make a big announcement this evening. I don't want to bail the cat out of the bag, right? So parents also have their parts to play. Can I have this next slide? All right, so one of the gains that we get from having a globally informed environment or being frontlines for international connection is that we get to experience unique contexts that helps us make well-informed decisions, right? So there are some times when, for example, the work that we do at Schooling has been so much influenced by organizations like Participate. I see how Participate have been able to bring teachers together into learning experiences, and I feel like, this kind of learning experience can be brought to Nigeria and contextualized. We are currently building an online learning platform at Schooling, and we have some courses that are posted on it already for educators to take. This is not an entirely new idea. This is an idea that has been existing somewhere else, but I saw it as amazing, and I'm bringing it to actually improve the work that we do in Nigeria. So unique perspectives are usually made available when we allow for global connectedness, right? So if we are able to actually cause global connections, we are able to experience unique context that help us make well-informed decisions. Can I have the next slide? Yes, cross-border sharing of ideas, resources, tools, and pedagogy. And I think this is really important, right? So there's something we did last 2 weeks, or last week, and then Nero Mittal, an educator in India, a global advocate for EdTech, actually led a session, and she actually showed us a particular tool that we've always been using, and then we don't know how powerful it was until now, and that is Google Form, on how we can use Google Form to actually create online quizzes and tests, and even issue certificates automatically. I've been using Google Forms all this while, but I don't know how powerful that is. But because she was able to share with us, we're able to learn that, and that's cross-border sharing of ideas. There are a lot of such engagements going across the world currently. And right now, I will actually give an opportunity to my friend. She's an amazing educator, Wendy, to actually jump in on this call right now to share. Wendy, how are you?
Oh, wait, Wendy, you're muted. Let me unmute you.
There we go.
I think there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Oluwaseun. Great to see you. Great to hear you tonight.
Great to see you too, Wendy. Great to hear from you.
And wait till next week when I give you an invitation to be a guest speaker on a Zoom with my second graders, and you can teach us all about Nigeria.
I'm dancing now.
Right.
I can't wait to meet them, right?
I just put into the chat box that what Oluwaseun is speaking of was just really wonderful. And Nero, hi, Nero's on the call today. He has assembled these great learning communities of teachers from around the world. And hi, Nero. Just last Thursday, I spent an hour of my day on a call with the School Inca cohort. So you have teachers in Nigeria and throughout Africa. You have Nero and other teachers from India on the call. And Nero taught us how to use Wakelet, which is a wonderful technology tool where you can pull together content around themes and different, study subjects, or like say you're a writer and you want to pull together all your articles or things like that. We learned how to do that in real time. And then on top of that, as Oluwaseun mentioned, then she told us how to create a quiz in Google Forms. And the comments were the same, like, wow, I use Google Forms all the time, but I didn't know about this particular capability. So what I wanted to do was from that, like, pivot to action, right? So I'm like, okay, now I know about Wakelet. I'm going to use it. So I created my own Wakelet profile. I use the same handle I have on Twitter, which is at Mrs. Wendy M. Turner. And I pulled together some information about my writing. I pulled together some information that I had used when I was teaching my class about Nigeria last year when we had our connection with Oluwaseun. And then also Oluwaseun, a teacher from Nigeria, reached out to me after the School Inca call on Twitter, Mr. Emmanuel, and he asked for some differentiated resources for reading and math. And instead of just sending him links, I created a Wakelet. And so I put it into the Wakelet, and then I sent him my Wakelet through the Twitter chat. So I want to thank you and also Nero, because you have empowered me with more knowledge, more tools. And I do feel more connected having that experience. First of all, right here, what we're doing now in these empathy hours, this is connection. And that is just uplifting to me, and it gives me energy and gives me hope during this really hard time. And then having that experience just last Thursday, now here it is Tuesday, and I'm sharing what I've done since then. That's what we're going for, right? So I did send the link to my Wakelet into the Empatico folks. If you guys want to find that, I can show you what I created, or wait until we get to that slide. But yeah, it was a wonderful opportunity. And I just put into the chat box, Oluwaseun, I think I found out about this on Twitter, about these School Inca cohorts that you can join. So everyone on here who's interested in making those connections, I mean, I'm seeing the chat box blow up here with all these great connections people are making right in the last 30 minutes about different topics. Join one of the School Inca cohorts and you can magnify that even more.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Good to see you again this evening.
Wendy, I'm having some trouble pulling up the link right now, but as soon as it loads, I'll share in the chat.
Okay. So no worries. If anyone wants to see it, just go to @Mrs. Wendy M. Turner on Wakelet. Nero, I just need to follow you. And then there's resources in there about Nigeria and the reading and math platforms I was sharing. One is ReadWorks, which is a really good tool where you can differentiate curriculum for your learners, K through 12. And then I also shared Zern Math, which is also differentiated math content, engaging. Again, those are U.S. companies, talking about U.S. standards, but I think a lot of the material is applicable for teachers everywhere.
I just shared it to everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you so much. I mean, and I think we have all thanks to actually give to Nero as well for opening us all up to these opportunities, right? So Nero actually poured out a whole lot that evening. And so thank you so much. And I know Nero is on the call as well. Thank you so much for doing all of that for us, right? So I don't know if you just saw what just happened right now. Wendy actually had to share some other amazing ideas, and this is what a community does to you, or does for you, right? So there's a cross-border sharing of ideas between local communities and also cascading such to global communities, right? So extending local connections to global connections, like Wendy just said, I'll be adding some other ideas, and that's we joining community of practice. We know the participate communities of practice. I mean, when you get the slides, you'll be able to click through the link to see what the participate team are actually doing with their communities of practice. The Teach SDGs network is one that I belong to. I joined as a Teach SDGs ambassador in 2017, and then even I worked in that year as their head of like a co-chair of the global project subcommittee. And here what we did was that we actually had projects from across the world, people entering projects to educate their students within K to 12 classrooms about the sustainable development goals. And as a result of that, we're able to recruit other teachers from across the world to actually collaborate on this project. So this time more than ever is when you're supposed to belong to a communities of practice so that you can actually learn more how you can take action on the global space. For example, look at the world largest lesson. You can look at, okay, I hope we can all see the screen, the browsers. I'm so sure we can see it, right? So that's the world largest lesson. We also have the participate communities of practice. We have teach SDGs as well that you can be a part of. You can visit this website to know how you can be part of the work and how you can actually join forces with other teachers across the globe who are actually pushing knowledge about the sustainable development goals across K to 12 classrooms across the world, right? So, yeah. So also, thought leadership on global platforms. This is a period for you to actually write articles if you are a big fan of writing. So if this is something that you find comfortable doing, you can even start a blog, right, so that you can share your expertise across the world. I wasn't really consistent with my writing. I started a blog at one time, educator.com. I wasn't consistent and it went up. But right now, I'm thinking of bringing it up back, right, so that I can express thought leadership on global platforms, right? So you can use Medium, you can use even you can use Twitter to share learning. You can use connectivity tools like Empatico, such a powerful tool, right? You can use it to actually foster local connections and also global connections. We already have amazing stories of this already. And I look forward to the amazing stories that would even come up even during COVID, the sit-at-home and lockdown. Next slide. Now, how have you continued to seek out global learning opportunities during these times? Have these experiences been meaningful to you? What benefits have you experienced? What challenges have you faced in pursuing these opportunities? Are we asking?
Yes, feel free to share.
Okay, great. Yes, so please feel free to share if there's any way that you have actually seek out global learning opportunities during this time. And how have these experiences been meaningful to you? For me, it has been meaningful to me. I mean, for example, this call right now has been so meaningful to me. The one with Wendy last week was amazing. So the one I've had with, I had a learning experience with speakers, voters as well. So meaningful. And then, yes, so if about the challenges that I faced, I think I faced challenges in terms of, right, the time zones. So I have some calls happening really late in the night, in the middle of the night. So I just had to adjust my sleeping time to be able to contain this, right? So these are some of the challenges I've faced.
All right, I just clicked on the next slide.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, wow, such amazing resources that have been shared in such a short time. So I mean, I just copied the link that Cassidy sent as well, because I think it's a program that might be really, really interesting. So thank you all for sharing. Right. So what are the other ways to involve our learners in these experiences, right? So we are having this experience from local connections to building global connections. But how do we bring the students into these experiences? Because as educators, whatever we learn, we should always find ways to cascade such to our students in the classroom, because that's the real learning happening. That's where it happens, taking place. For parents, how do we involve our children in these experiences? For caregivers, how do we involve the children that we work with during this period in these experiences? And like Veronica opened the last time, we have the world largest lesson, which is really, really a great resource. There are a lot of resources for you to actually collaborate on or to work on. I mean, as far as the SDGs are concerned, their curriculums, I mean, their ideas, their articles by which you can use their tweets that you can look at that would actually support your learning, that will actually help to activate your classroom for a global learning experience. Yes, so then we also have the Participate Learning Global Citizens Framework, as you can see on the screen currently. So there's this global citizen framework that the Participate team actually put together, and it has to do with a lot of instructional practices, a global lens, global competencies. So you get to learn a whole lot on how you can give your students a global learning experience, right? So how you can help your students build relevance, connect to networks beyond your classroom and all. So there are a lot of amazing resources in this framework, included in this framework. We have the Digital Citizenship Institute as well. You can check this out. I mean, so it helps you as well, like to actually, so for me, this is one tool that can help your children actually learn in a globally informed environment. So you can check all those resources out and learn more how you can incorporate them in learning for the students and the children you work with during these times. Okay. All right. So this brings me to the end of the session. Thank you so much for following through. I will have to flip it over to the Empatico team. Thank you so much for having me.
So much, Oluwaseun. So before we sign off, we wanted to share another opportunity for you all to continue to involve your learners in staying connected both to global communities and to local and global communities. So this Friday, Empatico will be officially launching a new initiative called Empatico at Home. And this is a resource to help caregivers support their children through feelings of isolation by connecting them with other children who are also learning at home. And this will now enable connections at home between families with children ages 6 to 11. So through Empatico at Home, your learners can explore new perspectives and bond over shared experiences with children from different communities. And we'll have easy-to-use resources that can help you moderate communication and guide your children through activities that promote creativity and the socialization that I know we're all very much craving right now and is so important for our learners' development. Next slide. So how do you get involved with Empatico at Home? If you're a parent or caregiver, you can sign up starting this Friday to participate at the link here. You can either choose to connect your child with someone that they already know by getting that child's parent to sign up as well and indicating that when you sign up, or you can choose to have Empatico connect you with someone new from around the globe. And if you're an educator that is also interested in this, you can definitely send your students, parents, or caregivers info on the Empatico at Home resource. We'll be sending out some information after this call if you're interested. Definitely feel free to reach out with any questions. We'll be sending a survey later this afternoon. So if you are interested, just let us know and we'll follow up at the end of this week with some more info on how to sign up. Next slide. Great. So if you have any questions for Oluwaseun or the Empatico team, feel free to type them out into the chat and we can all answer your questions. And if there are no questions, next slide. Yeah, great. So we have heard so many amazing ideas today, from happiness apps to regional or local discussions on gender issues and social justice, to sharing differentiated learning models across oceans. So really so many incredible ideas, and we're so grateful to hear how you're taking advantage of this unique challenge and opportunity to bring learning into your learners' homes in creative ways. So we'd love if you could share some examples of how you're taking actions, whether they're big or small or globally or locally, to stay connected in the chat now, or definitely feel free to keep sharing stories of new things that you're trying on Twitter using the hashtag Empathy Hour. And so I know everyone's sharing incredible ideas over the chat right now, but we'd love to see the conversations and the sharing continue on Twitter, and hopefully that will help maintain this community.
Thank you everyone for all your comments and sharing your experiences. Just wanted to share contact information in case you want to share more or ask questions directly. This is Oluwaseun, and thank you so much, Oluwaseun, again for joining us today. Your experience and knowledge is just outstanding, and we're so honored to have you here with us all sharing your experiences.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah. And here's the Empatico team. Also contact information and a list of resources which you will get once we send out the slides. You'll be able to link and click through those resources. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I enjoyed the session all through. Thank you so much for spending time with us here.